Passing through the veil of mystery, seeking answers no one is brave to ask. This is Bound to Truth.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bound to Truth. This is Chris Lopez. Again, another episode, another day. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We are, starting June? I think it's it's June 1st, right? I don't know what day it is anymore. I was busy doing life stuff, mowing, chickens, trying to get my bike running, but couldn't get that going because I had to have special parts to get my tires off because it's a Harley, and Harleys have their own special parts. Shout out to John and Cody for helping me out as much as they could on yesterday in regards to that. But yeah, going and summer's getting close, starting soon. A lot of vacations out there, a lot of adventures. Hopefully for all you and your family and friends. Definitely make sure you go out and live life as you should. Don't get caught in the cog of the wheel. Make sure you embrace every moment with everybody. Very important. Okay, enough of my little sentimental speech there. Today, we're going to go back and talk about, as promised, the part two of the Immaculate Constellation with Matthew Brown. And the stuff that we're going to talk about, and I'll play videos like I did before. And again, as I said before, the links I had in the first part one, if you haven't listened to that one, please go back to the Immaculate Constellation part one. I did link the full 3 videos of his interview with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp from Weaponized. Very detailed, great stories, just fascinating claims regarding the whole subject of UAP or the old school way UFOs, as well about the existence of either extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or what the government has called them as non-human intelligence to cover a whole broad a spectrum of different things. And I hope you enjoyed the background. I'm kind of doing something a little different. It's a little funky, but I like to play with things, with StreamYard and have a little fun with that. I don't think I had its full potential and how to use it. Anywho, so the 3 things I want to hit on it, and like I said, there's lots of things to cover, to watch in those videos that I really encourage you to watch, and I'll share the links again. But the one things I want to make sure I hit heavy on to conclude this Immaculate Constellation episode is I'll be playing videos regarding when he made his discovery, how he went to his superiors and their reactions, how his treatment, and behind the scenes with Congress and regarding the skiff, as well as his own thoughts at the end, which I find very fascinating and interesting. He's a very analytical guy, and I really, really, um, you have to watch him and see how he talks and how he reacts to the questions and his responses. It's neither dramatic or robotic. It's just very factual. He's a very analytical person. I think he's got a lot of credence to what he's talking about, which makes him even more believable. And hopefully, you know, what has been shared with Congress will be taken even more seriously, which I also want to kind of give an update on that because it looks like that the meeting did happen, sort of. That was supposed to happen in May, but that was before the whole thing with the Immaculate Constellation came out. That made a really big splash. And I think that's why Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp launched the interview with Matthew Brown, just to make sure one way or the other he gets a story told. So there was a meeting. It wasn't a public hearing, but there was a meeting with Anna Paleolona, I think Tim Burchett, and a few other people in Congress. And it was meeting with the FBI. in regards to, from what I understand, about the Immaculate Constellation, but also their own investigation, which has been heavily looked into. And they've actually got increased in funding to do more investigations because of the concerns of what's going on. And I'm also, in addition to that, not too long ago, about a week or two ago, and I encourage you to look this up, there's been even more attention with the government in the administration, because due to a recent incident where a craft hit, I think, an F-14 jet. And I mean, I believe the pilot's fine, made it just fine, but it actually collided. And it's not like you can really cover that up. I mean, maybe yes, you could. Maybe the reason they're not coming up is because it was just too impossible because of just social media and how things get around so quickly in talks in regards to the media. Or they're covering it up by not covering it up so they can have their own control narrative. You make a decision, you decide. I encourage you to pull it up on YouTube. You can find pretty much any report about that. But before we begin, again, how can you reach the podcast? Bound to Truth 34 at gmail.com, YouTube, Facebook, X, Spotify, Buzzsprouts. Let's see what else here I said. Oh, Apple, Audible for Amazon, and other platforms that you enjoy to listen to. Wherever out there. And again, I really encourage you to hit the subscribe button. Definitely smash that like and subscribe to it. And like I said before, the more you hit the subscribe button, the bigger the platform. And like I said to everybody, big or small, doesn't matter to me. The platform is yours and your story should be heard. And this is a platform created for you to share your experiences, to share your thoughts, and even things that you want to counter argue with. And I welcome that. I believe in free speech. I believe in free thinking. I think it's important to embrace those things and really take the time to listen to each other. We read things all week, all day when it comes to Facebook and comments and so forth and messaging each other, but actually have a conversation to talk about things. It's important to really keep that humanity, no matter what subject it is. Talk to each other, right? So really encourage you to do that. So now, what video I'm going to start playing is going to be the first clip. Actually, it's going to be, let me see here. Looking at my notes because I wrote it a few weeks ago. So it's going to be in regards to his reaction from his superiors when he made his discovery in regards to this file of the Immaculate Constellation. So once you listen, I'll share some thoughts afterwards. And come back to you soon.
So the first time I went just quietly to my immediate supervisor, a retired Army colonel.
So you go to your supervisor, superior.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I gotta say, hey, I gotta show you something in our closet. Our whole office is a skiff, but inside the skiff is another tiny skiff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have like a spillage thing, and so I need to show it to you because this is apparently what we're supposed to do: show it to your boss. And then follow the reporting chain, and you sign a paper, and that's how it's supposed to be handled, all by the books.
And they just trained you on it, and you're like, okay, here's what I'm supposed to do.
Right, exactly. So I try to follow that while also being, quiet about it. Take him in, and he's like, okay, so show me what you found. I pull up that slide, and the first slide, just because it's so generic, gets no reaction. But then going to like maybe the second slide, or even the third slide, he's just like, okay, stop. Did you read this? And I don't answer, but I just look him in the eye and I look at the screen, and I'm like, of course I read this.
That's how you know it exists.
And he definitely picked up on that. And the conversation ended with him saying, delete it. And he left the room, and we never spoke of it. I go to his boss, or his boss's boss. I change my approach. I don't say what it is. I don't show it to them. I don't print it out. And I just say, ma'am, we have a spillage incident. I believe it's sap material. Could you please provide guidance on how to handle this? And so through that, I was connected to our parent office's special access program control officer. Mm-hmm. Had a meeting set up to go meet with them a few days later. That happened. I go to that meeting. In a SAP-F, so where this material is supposed to be stored and handled. And this person says, okay, show me the material. So I sit down.
Round two.
Right, exactly.
You're showing the material.
I sit down, I pull it up. It's right there at the top of the shared server. So I'm not like, it's almost instant, like it's right there. I pull it up. I start scrolling through it from the bottom. I get no reaction. Then he says, okay, let me look at it. He takes my chair. He goes through, he scrolls through it. No reaction on his face. I'm watching him very closely at this point because I'm exceptionally curious about all of this. No reaction. Then he scrolls through it again, and he makes a very deliberate scene where he pauses on Lou Elizondo's slide and starts guffawing in a very non-believable way and saying, somebody's having a joke. You don't need to worry about this. You can go. And that's not the reaction I was expecting. I was expecting to, at the very least, sign a paper, right? Saying, this incident happened.
Yeah.
Reported it, signed it. It's done. So, I try to ask him, like, are you sure? Like, do I need to sign anything? He's like, nope, you can go. And so I left that room and never, ever had anything about that incident come up again.
Except immediately you went and checked again for the file.
Yeah, I went upstairs and I went to see what had happened and it was gone.
All right, so there you have it. He has went to not only his boss, but his boss's bosses. And as you can see, he's a guy who really wants to follow things by the book. He loves what he does. He wants to keep doing the right thing in regards to the policies and procedures, even with the laws itself, in regards to any type of discovery that's just kind of maybe it shouldn't be there, right? So obviously he wasn't satisfied with this response from his first boss, which is like, that's odd because this seems pretty extraordinary. And all right, so he sat on it, slept on it, and it still bothered him that I followed the procedures to the T in regards to some type of discovery, and it was just kind of looked over. So he went to his superior's boss, right? Now, typically, for me, I'm a guy who likes to follow procedures as well. I would never go behind my boss's back unless it's something really, really important that is just like, why was this blown off? This is really, really a huge big deal. So I'm sure that was not an easy move for him to do, especially when you're building a career in what he's doing with the Pentagon, right? You want to make sure that not only are you good at what you do, but you got to play a little politics and make sure that you're not pissing anybody's corner. But obviously his conviction and his it just bothered him. So he went to a higher superior. He showed this information again. They're reading through it. Of course, it comes up to Lou Elizondo. Interesting scoff from his superior's boss in regards to it. And really himself blew it off and basically said, someone's just having a joke. It's not a big deal, right? And of course, him being very analytical and thorough, stating, well, okay, should I still sign something regardless of the matter? If it was just not that big of a deal, wouldn't protocol still be to sign something off in regards to an attention to something? And of course, no, you don't have to sign anything. Don't worry about it. It's going to be good. We're fine. Now, of course, maybe out there may say, well, it could be somebody pranking it. It could be no big deal. And, it's that's probably why they didn't take the time to do the formalities of signing this presented information. Yeah, but when you're the government, especially when you're following policy procedures like me as well, and what I do in the financial world, we're really heavy about policy procedures no matter what. Like if you were short a penny or over a penny, you're not going to replace it or remove it. It's just a penny. No, you don't want to force balance. You want to follow procedures. That's how strict it is. And even the financial world, the banking world, if they're that strict about that, then I would assume the government would be too, right? If you're just going to blow this off, like even if it was a joke, what's that say about your character when it comes to policy procedure? You're picking and choosing, because how do you not know that's not real? And that person, that superior, could maybe fully believe that it was a joke, but there was nothing signed. Either he's just incompetent, he or she is incompetent, or they're hiding something. And as you heard at the last part of the video, when he went to try to find the file again in regards to, quote, being a joke, it was gone. I try to be unbiased about these opinions because a lot of factors can happen, but with all that's going on and just his character's demeanor, it doesn't feel like a joke. But again, like I said before, it could be somebody trying to make him, either he is a disinformant willingly or unwillingly, just because of what he stumbled across. I do not know. That's another theory. It's another thought. Who knows? There's a lot of espionage that's going around. Really, really a lot of government gaslighting when it comes to the subject, and I'm sure in other things as well. So, kind of wanted to share my thoughts on that and my opinions and so forth. And again, feel free to comment. Love to hear yours as too. Maybe you have some more information or insight than I do. But I thought that was interesting that it was just blown off, and it's a joke. Nothing was protocol filed, and what was supposed to be done, and the file was missing. A bit suspect, in my opinion. So, moving on from that, we're going to move into his experience with Congress in regard to the subject matter, because obviously he's still not satisfied with the responses from both the bosses, both the superiors, right? So I'll be playing a clip. It's a little bit long, but definitely worth a lot of valuable information. It's about 5-6 minutes long, but it will definitely do it justice. So here you go. Take a listen.
You wrote in a paper that was submitted to Congress, and we'll go to a lot of details in that, but that this was deeply disturbing overall. Why was it disturbing to you?
Yeah, so as time passed, it became disturbing, especially after the sort of the process of Grush coming forward left a wake on the inside too. People were tracking that who weren't even involved, but were able to see sort of the distortions on the inside.
Distortions of truth.
Exactly, but also, bureaucracies and offices behaving weirdly around this subject, and sort of the movements for reaching out to Congress to get legislation drafted that eventually became that Intelligence Authorization Act and that first NDAA, where they provided whistleblower protections. I think that was one of the moments that really started to convince me that this was not under our government's control.
That's a core of why we're talking today.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Just on an emotional level and blunt analysis, why the hell is Congress passing a law asking for UFO insiders from the intelligence and military community to come talk to them directly under amnesty about something that doesn't exist, isn't an issue? And if it does exist and is an issue, but it's secret, apparently our most sensitive congressional committees are not briefed on this.
Yeah, I find it at the core disturbing you having Arrow even ask for whistleblowers to come forward to them, having Congress asking for whistleblowers to come under amnesty to come to them. Yeah, something's rotten with that.
And then also at the same time seeing the sort of UAP task force and its slow death on the inside, and the death of the sort of open exchange of ideas and problem solving going on was another data point that pointed to something rotten. Mm-hmm. And the last one that really sealed it and really convinced me that I need to find a way to bring this to Congress, no matter how small it might be. It apparently matters. Mm-hmm. Was when I was in USDI, I read the transcripts of Sean Kirkpatrick briefing Senator Rubio, Senator Warren, and Senator Gillibrand on the results of his investigation in his congressionally tasked Arrow report. Mm-hmm. And those transcripts, which were supposed to be open kimono, here's the truth, Mr. Senator, Mrs. Senator, Sean Kirkpatrick absolutely distorted, downplayed, and can't prove it, but I would say outright lied to the people who have direct responsibility for him.
Saying what? What did he say that was a lie?
So it's more of a lie of the whole thing,
Big picture.
the big picture, right? In the meeting, it's, Congressman Rubio, we've heard about this incident. We just don't have enough data to go on it to really know what this is. We don't have any way of really figuring out what's going on. It could just be an anomaly. In fact, it's most likely an anomaly. So starting with an acknowledgement that, here, you have some data, but we have the insight and the scientific expertise to make you feel at ease.
Nothing to see here, folks. Move on.
Exactly. Although there was also political discussion involved and historic discussion. And, I read these transcripts once and immediately knew that
Veiled threat?
No, I knew that I was now something else. I had inside knowledge into the deception of our government by elements of our intelligence community. My blood ran cold at a specific point in that transcript where Mr. Rubio is discussing the legacy program. This was a subject of direct discussion with Sean Kirkpatrick in these meetings. And based on Mr. Kirkpatrick's replies about as vague as they were, but unable to escape the truth of the legacy program, Mr. Rubio's response was, well, what the hell is the executive branch doing? Have they been running this for 60 years without congressional oversight? I might be paraphrasing a little, but that's near enough verbatim. And I saw that line and I basically closed that file and had a pretty sleepless night.
Okay, so you heard about why he wanted to bring that to Congress, right? A lot of things stand out in here, so I took some notes a bit. So, one of the reasons why is that he is very concerned how all this is being handled and that it's not in the government's control. If it was in the government's control, there wouldn't be hearings, there wouldn't be whistleblowers, right? I like how he stated that why are whistleblowers coming out and Congress knows nothing about what's going on. And even though these are elected officials, these officials are supposed to be in charge of what is going on with our government, not the other way around. It's like me keep my superior in the dark. I'm doing all these things behind the scenes that can negatively impact the office and my team and clients for my own selfish benefit of gain. So there's this cabal that, maybe you've heard it before, but it's not new to me, is the deep state or the dark government, something else. And they'd say it's totally run without any accountability in what's going on. And no one knows about it. There could be a handful of people in Congress who do know about it that may have stakes into it. I believe there's a governor or a congressperson in Ohio. I'm not sure if he's still on mic something. Excuse me. Which, if you listen to 3 years back, a few Congress people tried to go and storm the base and try to see what was going on there, and they pretty much got blocked from that. So I'm not saying that nobody in Congress doesn't know what's going on. I think there's a handful of these, I'm going to call them spies, that are part of the secret dark government that is not being transparent to its own team when it comes to every branch that is supposed to be accountable within our government that's created by our forefathers, the judicial, executive, and legislative branches. There's a lot of different pieces that it's more like, see what I'm doing on my right hand, but here's what's going on the left hand. Like typical, the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing, or vice versa. And also what was interesting is, you heard that what ran his blood cold and having sleepless nights was Dr. Kirkpatrick. Now, Dr. Kirkpatrick, if you've not heard about him, he ran Arrow and then recently retired, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago now, maybe, who has run the Arrow program, which is trying to investigate the phenomenon of the UAPs and what's going on. And you hear Matthew Brown reading the transcripts. He basically said that Dr. Kirkpatrick, based on what he's discovered, has blatantly lied to Congress and really manipulated, pretty much saying, I don't know what's going on, pleading like, I don't know. We have no idea. The dumb card is what I call it. You guys out there, I'm sure, knew what the dumb card is. You play with the ladies. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm a dumb person. Blah, blah, blah. You know, you kind of just pull that right out of the hat, which is really disturbing and just disappointing that we can't get a good answer from someone who's supposed to be ahead of the program. And I think the program Arrow, I'm not sure it is today. I'm not sure if it's gotten better. I know there's a statement from the new person head of it is really being honest, supposedly, that this exists, and we not disacknowledging what Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick is saying, that these are just nothing to really see. It's not really anything that's worth concern. This new one has been very like, these are concerning. We don't have an idea and discover what they are, and we need help to looking more into it. Now, I'm not saying that person is not involved either into some deep state, maybe not. I have no idea. But the department was created almost as just, what's the word I'm looking for? To ease, to I would say, to show the people in our country, we are, quote, taking it seriously, but yet there's no transparency. We don't know what it is. We'll acknowledge it exists, but we can't tell you what it is. Half truth with a whole lie is what I call it. And I'm sorry for the pause, because I'm really trying to say the proper thing here is that the discovery of deception in our own intelligence is highly disturbing. That our own intelligence has deception with its own intelligence, when there should be working together, being transparent. I'm not saying spill all the secrets in regards to the sake of security, right? You know, I get it. There are certain texts out there that we don't want our adversaries to know, like I said before in the last episode in part 1. I get that, totally get it. We don't want our adversaries to know, because they may have that tech too, which I'm assuming they do, which I believe they would. I don't think that, you know, these beings, where they are, interdimensional, extraterrestrial from a different planet, or just landing on Earth, I'm sure that it's been around for a very, very long time. I mean, hell, they could be from here. They could be from the oceans. There's theories about that. Heck, we know more about our space than we do about our ocean, right? So why the deception? Why not acknowledge that we are not alone, or there's something else that's bigger than our world? Why not give people that right to know that there is something much more than just 9 to 5, and just keep being that cogwheel in our artificial existence that we create around society? I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that we've created a bad system. Is it a perfect system? No, it's not a perfect system. But why? Why not let people have the in, and to really expand their minds that there's something bigger than ourselves, bigger than our just our surroundings and our home and the people in the workplace? I honestly think that it could band more of a united front with all of us as a human species, right? Why all that deception? Why keep it from the people? So, with that being said, Matthew Brown has got some great insight in regards to that. I think this is a really big piece of the episode that I think you're really going to enjoy. And hopefully, it's not answers, it's his thoughts, but they're really good thought processes that I really, really enjoyed. So, hang tight. Here you go. Take a listen.
What is it like to have absolute knowledge that not only UFOs are real, that we've been hiding that that our government has controlled that information away from the base human population, and that there is another intelligence that is engaging humanity straight up. What does that feel like, being one of the people that knows that and doesn't suspect that?
It's weird going to the supermarket.
Okay.
Even more, it's bizarre to work in government and see legions of people who have no clue about any of this, and no clue that they are being deceived.
You have thoughts about big picture stuff, who they are. Is it more than one they? Is it us from the future, ETs, interdimensionals? Do you think there's anybody in government who knows? And if they do know, is there any reason why this should stay secret? At least some of it should stay secret that the public cannot handle.
No. The only reason for secrecy is fear and greed. And that is the paradigm that we must confront and overcome. As for the public and what their reaction might be to this information, good, bad, indifference, I think we already have our answer. It's going to be indifference, unless the stakes are made clear.
You're an absolutist. You like rip the Band-Aid off.
There's no Band-Aid. There's no wound. This is not about protecting, healing. This is about power and control. This isn't about trying to save what's good. It's about getting rid of what's evil.
Power and control, meaning controlling the technology and what it would mean.
Those are just means. Controlling humanity.
Everything. Do you suspect that there are reverse engineering programs, that there have been crashes, that there are attempts to replicate that technology? You got hints of it in the ARV or RV, that we're trying to build what these things can do. Do you think we've done it, that we've accomplished it? Somebody?
Yeah, I think we've absolutely replicated some of these capabilities in inferior forms, and oftentimes maybe disaggregated from what was at once a unitary system, but we're only able to do a small part what that system does.
We've seen people say they think that the Tic Tac is something we had 21 years ago. And I'm wondering, well, where the hell is it? I mean, if we have this technology, we've done some of it to get even inferior versions of it. Is that something that's going to be incorporated into the U.S. military arsenal, or is it something that's outside of it, that's controlled by somebody who's not using it for national defense?
I think the U.S. military might be allowed to use some of this technology in the national defense, but I don't think they ultimately have control over it.
This is a kind of arms race. It's a technology race. Whoever gains the ability to effectively weaponize this, they win. We know that UFOs, due to the propulsion systems, are a matter of national security and weapons of mass destruction. And we know that. We don't think that. We met with people that deal with that, right? Do you agree with that? Do you think that we are in a race with China and Russia? There's other countries competing to weaponize this. And do you think that's a problem? Because you've dealt with weapons of mass destruction in your official career.
I think strategic deterrence has migrated out of, has evolved from being relying on nuclear weapons as the pinnacle. I believe we have, and others have developed the means to maybe utilize nuclear reactions to create some very dangerous effects through directed energy.
Your concern is directed energy weaponry,
among many. But when it comes to WMDs and relations to this technology, I think we have been successful in both deriving new science that we have then suppressed to preserve a strategic advantage. And I think I probably don't want to talk too much more about deterrence.
Somebody was flying these things that crashed. Somebody built these things that are being reverse engineered. Who's that somebody? And why don't they come forward? I mean, you may not have seen that in a document or a file or something somewhere, but you've thought about it. You're a smart guy. What are your thoughts on the big picture questions? Who are they? Why are they here? Why don't they show us what's going on?
I think I have a good degree of confidence that the reason they're here is us. I think life, especially sentient life, is a precious thing. And I think to some, it might be a resource. I think humanity to some level is a resource for them.
Like a commodity?
Possibly a commodity, possibly form of entertainment, possibly medical related.
Think they live here?
Yes.
For all intents and purposes?
Yes.
Always?
I don't know about always, but it certainly appears that they have been here for most of recorded history. At least some element of this has been here for most of human recorded history.
You think we would see them if they didn't let us see them? Even with our more advanced sensors, that they pop up, but they can also disappear. And do they allow us to get these glimpses? Is that a game of some sort, I wonder? Or an education process?
It's a bizarre one that I could not understand if it is a game. I think they're both just as powerful as we think, but also less. And I think there is not a single they here. Certainly multiple factions of the same species, if not multiple species. And all the complexity that brings, which might be our best hope.
Do they have an agenda? There's different types. What are your philosophies on this? Like, who are the others? Why are they here? And you've touched upon it. I know we're kind of going back a little bit, but that is the big question. And I just wanted to separate so people understand your exposure and your personal conclusions.
So I have been exposed to no direct information on the anatomy, biology, intentions, culture, politics.
Never came across those files?
Never came across those. I think those are all some of the deepest secrets.
Right. They would be if this is correct information.
What I have learned is that we live in a dream, a carefully constructed reality. We make use of a science that is tightly controlled and suppressed and distorted. I think we are left behind.
Humans.
I think normies, the normal humans, the people have been left behind. Us. People need to understand that we might have freedom of speech, but that has been subverted. We do not have freedom of inquiry. We are blocked from learning what we need to know. Just in the public world, we are blocked from advancing in science. We are taught false science intentionally to prevent us from learning more. We live in the Matrix. It's just much more boring than the movie.
I think about whistleblowers like yourself. You're about to find out, assuming we release this, you're about to find out what the price is for coming forward. And there are other people in the same kind of position who are wondering what they should do, who are basically being held in limbo. They've worked in classified programs their whole life. That's what they do. That's what pays their bills. And they're held in limbo, and that's held over their heads so they don't come forward. And they're debating taking the same steps as you. There is no hope or help for anything like folks like that, is there? I mean, we've heard promises. We'll help whistleblowers come forward. We'll give them support. There are private equity funds and organizations that say they're going to help, but we haven't seen shit so far, have we? And have you?
No, I've reached out directly to institutions that claim that they are here to help UAP whistleblowers specifically, both in the process of coming forward and any sort of stability afterwards. It's been radio silence. At best, at worst, one of those institutions has stolen my information. There is no organized help for whistleblowers. It is all controlled. It is all at either the special interest of industry that wants to get in on this, or by the existing powers that be.
Intelligence agencies who have infiltrated or created these things.
Correct.
I have directly experienced that, sadly, over this last year, which is the vacuuming up of intelligence on people such as yourself who are trying to do the right thing as whistleblowers, as well as anything that reporters could possibly obtain and release. And it is a treacherous moment in our history of this. You did a call to action to people. You told them this, it's time, move forward. I know that you had some encouragement with David Grush. I hope people are encouraged, also by you. Look, man, if you were to die tomorrow because of whatever reason, what do you want people to know right now? Like, what do you want people to know if you're just like fucking gone?
You are not free. And this reality has far more to it than you have been allowed to believe. And God is real.
All right, folks. That was a bit long, but worth it, right? Hopefully really, really worth it to get his thoughts and his analytical mind and just his based on his experiences and what he's researched and what he's gone through with this process of not just finding the file, but going through the proper channels, even beyond his superiors that didn't take him seriously, even to Congress, and even to see how things have been left out from Congress on the matter from this deep state of this government that is unknown to us, on who runs it, and what's going on. Like I said, lots to unpack, right? So he said quite a bit of things that I hope you really caught on. If not, I took a little bit of notes. So hold on, hang tight. Let's break it down a little bit. Question was, why have we, like what I asked before I played the video, why haven't we let this out? Why have we not let people know what's going on? What's the harm? What's it going to do? Well, fear and greed, right? Fear you can't control the masses, and greed to control the technology and create a narrative for your own to scope out, to script out what you want the public to know and think, not just here in America, but around the world, right? And it's not to protect the public. I really like that. It's about power and control. Again, going back, control the narrative, not letting people know what's going on, right? Why is that? I don't know. Maybe to tell people, especially here in our government, we don't have the tech to protect ourselves. I mean, are these beings nefarious? We don't know. I have no idea. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But again, based on his research and what he stumbled across with those files, it wasn't that at all. Fear and greed. Let's continue. His thoughts about these beings. What are they here for? What do they want from us? One of the things that you heard him say was like maybe a form of entertainment. Maybe a form of a resource, a commodity. It could be medical related, right? And that's not the first time that has been thrown on the rumor mill regarding these entities. I had a few episodes back, listened to Bob Lazar talking about, reading a pack this thick about supposedly these beings create religion to protect our containers. Protect what containers of what? First thought is a human soul. Maybe they don't have a human soul. Or not a human soul, but a soul in general. I have no idea. And that can go on many theories, right? People are like, well, if they're extraterrestrial, what makes us different from them? You know, they have the power to do things and go through space and do all this stuff, but yet they don't, quote, have a soul. Maybe they're not extraterrestrial. The theory is that could be a new form of Nephilim in the Bible, right? That created by these fallen angels to try to counterfeit what God has created. I don't know. Again, far and few stretch. I have no idea. But there's something special about humanity. Now people say, well, that's kind of ignorant, you know. You know, and people always compare, like, well, if they have this technology, what makes us so special? Well, technology doesn't have to make you special. I met a lot of people in this world who are not very tech savvy or even rich, and they are incredible people. There's something special about us that is interesting. Could be wrong, could be right. But again, that's his thoughts. That's a theory. It's not fact. This is based on his observation. I'm sharing my thoughts in addition to that. And also, what's interesting too, that they've been here since his thoughts recorded history. Again, not something new. That's been around in the mirror for many years. There's the whole ancient astronaut theory by I forgot the author's name, but there's a guy with the freaky hair saying it's not aliens, but it's aliens. If you guys know, I'm talking about those memes from the History Channel. There's the alien astronaut theory that we have been inspired by these instinct beings when it comes to pyramids, when it comes to Göbekli Tepe, when it comes to the Mayan pyramids as well around the world. I mean, heck, even I'm thinking about doing an episode on this one regarding the Grand Canyon that's been shut down a lot. You can't go to a lot of places. I mean, it's a tourist attraction, right? But you can't just willy-nilly go down there because supposedly there are some things historically that can really shake our foundation and change how we know about history, right? You know, and I also encourage people to look at ancient stuff too, because there are some things we just cannot explain, like the Easter Islands, regarding those statues that are buried underground with the heads up. How the hell they do that? I have no idea. You know, people think we know how we built the pyramids. We don't. Oh, and by the way, there's been a recent discovery that's a whole underground city with cylinders under the pyramids. A whole big thing, whole new discovery. Don't believe me? Research it. Pull it up on YouTube. Pull up some articles. Quite fascinating. Are we going to be able to dig under there? Probably not. Unfortunately, there's politics involved with that in many forms. But an interesting discovery. And also his belief that multiple factions of either one species or multiple species. Well, that can obviously throw the whole theory about the Nephilim, right? Would it be one species of Nephilim? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea. But also, it could be interdimensional. It could be none of those things of alien, Nephilim related, but interdimensional beings crossing over our plane. Multiverses. Look at the movies. Marvel's really pushed that a lot with Iron Man and all those things when it comes to not just God-fearing aliens coming around, or God-fearing aliens. That's terrible. That's not what I meant. What I meant is aliens coming down, making this God-feared. What's going on? And now we got the multiverse happening. Is the media and the movies trying to tell us something? Look at the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Steven Spielberg, even E.T., the Fourth Kind from Mia Jovovich. There could be some stories told behind that, hidden in plain sight, right? You can call it conspiracy theory. I'm not saying it's true, I'm just saying it's fascinating. Independence Day. And then also how he stated that we're living in a dream. Our society is suppressed. I believe that. I don't care if aliens are exist or not. I just believe in general that society in this planet, in our country, that we are suppressed. There's a lot of things that are controlled for a bigger agenda because of greed and power. You know, we're supposed to have the American dream, right? Can you guys tell me that the American dream still exists? I'm not saying that we're still not the best country in the world, but I can tell you myself personally, I think the American dream is slowly dying, if not died already. I'm a fan of the Constitution, not a fan of the government. And I like how you said that we have the freedom of speech, but we don't have the freedom of inquiry, which is really, really interesting. And then I'll ask you guys out there to really do your research online, right? And YouTube, Google, and all that stuff. In addition to that, I ask you to do more. Dive deeper into it. Talk to people. Get out there. Go on hikes. Discover. You read about something, take a look at it. Because the freedom of inquiry is also being controlled with what's online. You may get lucky. I've got lucky a few times finding things online. Go to Reddit, 4chan. You have to dig through a lot of shit to find some gold, but it's there. Right? And his last thoughts that you are not free and God is real. To me, that's the biggest impact to me in regard to those comments. We are not free and God is real. What does that mean, God is real? Of course, my first thought, being raised Catholic, is the Christian God, the God of the Old Testament, New Testament, Jesus Christ, as Lord and Savior. I do believe that. But is that what he means? There was no elaboration, right? So is he saying God is real as a positive thing? I kind of took it from him that it's a positive thing. Kind of smiled, right? Hope not a bad thing. But God is real. We're not free, but God is real. And God is real. So yeah, a lot there. As I said before, I really encourage you to go and watch all those episodes. Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp did a hell of a job with Weaponized in regards to Matthew Brown. He's got a lot of information. Really encourage you again to watch all 3 of those videos. I'll put them and post them on the link again with this channel. So there you go. Everybody, today, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, concerns, questions. Please hit the subscribe button. Please email me, boundtruth34@gmail.com. Please follow us. Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Buzzsprouts, Apple, Audible, X, and other platforms that you enjoy as well. I really appreciate you guys' time. And I hope this has been a fun journey episode. And there's a lot more to unpack in the future. As always, have a great day and see you on this side. Good night.